Let's be honest for a second. Some of you aren't in love. You're just incredibly talented at imagination. Seriously, a person smiles at you twice, likes one Instagram story, replies with sweet smile, and suddenly your brain is like, this is it. I found my soulmate. 3 days later, you've imagined your first date, your first kiss, your honeymoon, your future dog, the argument you'll have about where to put the couch. Meanwhile, this person is currently trying to remember their Netflix password. They don't know your favorite color, they don't know your middle name, they don't even know they're starring in the romantic movie your brain has been producing for the last 72 hours. And here's the weirdest part. The less we know about someone, the more perfect they become. Why? Why can a complete stranger occupy more space in your mind than someone you've known for years? And why do we sometimes miss people we never actually had? Because the answer has almost nothing to do with them, and everything to do with what's happening inside your head. Number 1, your brain is the most delusional matchmaker on earth. You know what's dangerous? Not dating apps, not your ex, not even that friend who keeps saying, just text them. The most dangerous thing is your brain after receiving a tiny bit of attention. Because your brain doesn't collect information. It writes fan fiction. Let's say you're at a coffee shop. Someone attractive smiles at you. A normal response would be, that person seems nice. But your brain? Oh no. Your brain immediately opens 47 tabs. What if we meet again? What if they're secretly the love of my life? What if we tell our kids this story one day? Kids, relax. You don't even know if they return their shopping cart. And honestly, that's the funniest part. We create entire personalities for people based on absolutely nothing. One good conversation and suddenly, they seem emotionally mature? No, they ordered a latte. That's all we know. But why does our brain do this? Why are we out here creating Disney movies from a 4-minute interaction? Because your brain hates one thing more than rejection: missing information. Number 2, the human brain hates blank spaces. Imagine somebody handed you a book. Half the pages are missing. Would you stop thinking about it? Probably not. You'd want answers. You'd want the ending. Humans are obsessed with unfinished stories. That's exactly what happens when we barely know someone. There's so much missing information, and your brain goes, no worries, I'll make something up. You don't know if they're kind, so your brain assumes they are. You don't know if they're loyal, so your brain assumes they are. You don't know if they're emotionally available, so your brain says, of course they are. Meanwhile, reality is sitting in the corner like, would anyone like to fact-check this? Nobody does. Because fantasy is more fun. Reality has flaws. Fantasy has background music. Number 3, the most attractive thing isn't beauty. It's mystery. This sounds crazy, but sometimes what attracts us isn't the person. It's the uncertainty. Think about it. When someone clearly likes you, your brain relaxes. But when someone sends mixed signals, now your brain starts a full-time investigation. You become an unpaid FBI agent. What did they mean by that text? Why did they watch my story in 3 minutes? Why did they like that photo from 2022? At this point, you're not crushing. You're conducting research. The mystery creates tension. The tension creates curiosity. And curiosity often disguises itself as attraction. That's why some people spend months obsessing over someone they barely know. Not because the connection is deep, because the questions are unfinished. Number 4, let's talk about the story you made up. Here's a painful question. Do you actually like them? Or do you like the version of them living inside your head? Because those are not the same person. The real person. Gets annoyed, makes mistakes, has weird habits, probably leaves dishes in the sink. The imaginary version? Perfect. Always understands you, always texts back, always knows exactly what to say. The imaginary version never disappoints you, because they're basically an employee of your imagination. And your imagination doesn't allow bad reviews. This is why reality often feels disappointing. Not because people are disappointing, because fantasy had impossible standards. But there's another reason we romanticize strangers. And honestly, this one hits a little harder, because it isn't about them. It's about us. Number 5, sometimes you don't miss them, you miss how they made you feel. Let's get uncomfortable. Sometimes that person wasn't special. The feeling was. Maybe life felt lonely. Maybe you felt unseen. Maybe you were going through a rough season. Then someone appeared. They listened. They noticed you. They gave you attention. And suddenly your brain attached hope to them. Now every interaction feels magical. A compliment feels like chemistry. A text feels like destiny. Basic human kindness starts looking like a sign from the universe. And we've all done this. Your brain isn't broken, it's just hungry. And emotionally hungry people often mistake crumbs for a feast. Number 6. Why we love people who are hard to get. Can we talk about something ridiculous? Why do unavailable people suddenly become 10 times more attractive? Seriously, someone likes us back immediately. We're like, let's not rush. But somebody replies once every 4 business days? Now we're writing journal entries about them. What's happening? Validation. If a difficult person chooses us, it feels valuable. Their attention becomes a trophy. Their approval becomes proof. And the harder it is to get, the more important it feels. It's the psychological version of standing in a giant line and assuming whatever's at the end must be amazing. Then you finally get there and realize it's just a sandwich. A regular sandwich. You just waited 6 months emotionally. Number 7. The question that exposes everything. Next time you're obsessing over someone, ask yourself one question. What do I actually know about them? Not assumptions, not fantasies, not possibilities, facts. Most people freeze right there because suddenly they realize, I know they're attractive. I know they're funny. I know they own a dog. And that's basically it. Everything else, manufactured by the imagination department. And that realization changes everything. Because real love grows from knowing. Fantasy grows from guessing. Let's start an argument. I genuinely believe this. Most people don't miss the person. They miss the fantasy they built around the person. Agree or disagree. Because I know some people watching this just got called out. And honestly, you're welcome. Maybe the reason you can't stop thinking about them isn't because they're extraordinary. Maybe it's because your imagination is. Maybe they were never the masterpiece. Maybe your mind painted the masterpiece. Maybe the person wasn't the story. Maybe they were just the blank page. And you filled the rest in yourself. That's why some of the hardest people to get over are the ones we never really had. Because you can't lose a relationship that never existed, but you can lose a fantasy. And fantasies are surprisingly hard to bury. So the next time you catch yourself planning a honeymoon with someone who only reacted to your story with a heart emoji, pause, smile, and remind yourself you don't know them yet. You're still reading the cover, and the truth is, real connection doesn't happen when someone is perfect, it happens when the fantasy ends, and you choose to know the real person anyway.